Hey guys, it's Stuart of SBC Guitars and welcome back to my even smaller workshop. This is the crotch area on the front of our boat. So it's a little covered, it's almost like a little tented area on the bow of our boat. And it's one of my favourite places, honestly, on the boat. It's a really nice place to work. It's got a little mini garden in it at the moment. So it feels really nice to have a little bit of green space, because it's one of the things I really wanted anyway. When oddly to move out of flat into a boat, it's weird to think that you'd have more space, more green space on a boat, but you do, because you've got a roof, you've got this little greenhousey area. But yeah, I've been trying to do these videos just almost like a little weekly, 1 or 2 times a week, weekly update on just what I've been doing with SBC guitars, and particularly transitioning into working more on the boat. So I guess still in the tiny workshop theme, but yeah, moving along into boat workshop as well. This week it's Easter weekend. I've got a guitar on the go at the moment, Cygnus Solid Body, which I'm trying to cover a lot of what I've been doing with it, because they're quite quick to build, to be honest. I've done enough of them now, I know how to build them. The thing I always get is I always try and push myself with every build, so even if it's something that I've built 10 of before, I still want to make everyone unique, because that's part of the interest of guitar building for me, and I still want to make everyone I want everyone in some way to push me to be a better builder, because I always want to be a better builder, and I never want to stop striving to be a better builder. But also I enjoy trying to push mostly enjoy trying to push myself to be better. I had an interesting conversation yesterday with my dad and my uncle about the sort of a bit like how you got the law of diminishing returns, so where the more you invest in something, the less you get back out of it. I think there's something similar with, there's a sort of curve of diminishing fun, particularly obviously with guitar building. It's something that started as a hobby and became a job for me, became an income, and is currently my full-time income. It has veered, so sometimes it's my full-time income, sometimes I take other part-time work, because it's very much a feast and famine world to be in sometimes. This year's been pretty good so far, and looking fairly promising going forwards, but doesn't mean that it will stay that way. I know. So I had an interesting conversation with my dad and my uncle yesterday, just about keeping things fun whilst also pushing yourself, and how to do that, because I'm really enjoying guitar building, but I think a few years ago I burnt myself out guitar building, and it stopped being fun for me, which meant I stopped pushing myself, and I had other stuff going on as well, but that was the crux of it. So I think something I'm finding really interesting at the moment is finding ways to work in the small area, which I've talked about before, and this is certainly a small area. My plan for this weekend, the long weekend, was to get this neck, this very rough looking neck, turned into something looking fairly close to a finished guitar neck. That's obviously not the case. This is my first time actually working on it, and I'm going to spend 10 minutes recording a video. So today I'm going to try and because it's raining, as you can hear, I'm limited on how much carving work I can do, because I don't want to necessarily do a huge amount here, because I don't necessarily want to fill my boat with sawdust. So I'm going to scrape the fretboard. I'm probably going to try and radius the fretboard as much as I can. I might try and do some carving work with a chisel and see how that goes. And hopefully it is meant to stop raining and the sun's meant to come out later, so hopefully if that happens I can then set up a little carving station on the back of the boat, which works really well, so hopefully I can set that up. But yeah, this is where I am with this. It's not great. I was really hoping to have that finished for Bristol, and it's just not going to happen. But it'd be nice to have it looking cool for Bristol, have the idea of it about there for Bristol. I also need to spend some time just tidying up the 6-string bass that I made, because I rushed the finish on that a little bit just to have it playable for Northampton, and it could use, wiring's absolutely fine, but it could use like 10% more, just getting the finish really nice. There was a couple of spots on the neck I noticed after finishing it. I always think the neck, like, you can get away with the body having not being amazing, because you can go back and, well, you can always go back on any area, but I think the neck is somewhere where you don't want any lumps or bumps or any like little scratches or anything. You want the neck to be 100% perfect, because it's a guitar, it's made for playing, and particularly with a 6-string bass, because it's mostly neck. So yeah, I need to go back and do that. Other thing, just as a little update for this week, I finally received, I say finally, I received it about a week or two ago, but I hadn't had a chance to actually collect it from my parents. This Mitsel bridge, which is a really interesting little bridge. It came with, it's from a company in Ukraine that's manufacturing them. It's a headless system. It was cheap. It was very cheap for what it is. It was about 130, 150 quid, something like that, which most headless systems, usually about, to be honest, they're usually about 50 quid per string. So for something like this, I'd expect to pay about 300 quid at least. But yeah, it's an interesting system. Obviously, I decided I'd buy one to give it a test because of my new Omicron 1 series and whether or not it would be a good fit for it. So this is the multiscale version. They do a non-multiscale version as well. It's basically the same but with a straight bass plate. And they do it up to a, I can't remember, it's like an 8 or a 9 string, so it goes pretty big. It's quite nice and lightweight. There is one thing that bothers me about it, which I should talk about in a moment. It's really quite nice lightweight. I think the shafts themselves, the main the main sort of string shaft bit is aluminium. I'm not sure what the plate is. I'd have to scrape it back slightly. I don't think it's brass, if I'm honest, because it's a bit too light to be brass. I think it is aluminium as well. All of these are the string retainers and the tuners essentially. All of the bits that come into contact with the string are brass, which is good. So like again, the the little mounts the strings sit over are brass. It's all height adjustable. It's all intonation adjustable. Largely, I really like the design. I'd like a bit more weight to it. Now, I know I'm a lightweight person and I like lightweight stuff and lightweight guitars, but I actually quite like fairly heavy hardware. So it'll be interesting to see how that compares tone-wise to my ABM. I'm going to make another Omicron 1 so that I can, because I've got the parts for it, if I make another Omicron one, I've got the pickups I designed with Stuart at Sunbear, and it'll be a really nice direct comparison. The couple of things I don't like about it so far, just on reflection, there's a few of the areas I feel a bit sharp. So around the sort of shaft bits, this all feels a bit sharp. The actual main post that the guitar sits on feels a bit sharp at the edges, so I will probably just take those out and run a bit of sandpaper over them. Yeah, I think that's all I do. And also the fact that the tuners fall straight out. I've not used another system, I don't think, where the tuners come straight out, so that's a little bit odd. That said, I feel like the Gear for Music one might have been like that. But otherwise, I do like the design. I also like the fact that it's a really small detail, but on the tuners, so it's not the longest stud. I feel like it could be a bit of a longer stud, if I'm honest. But I don't think that'll be a problem. I'm sure there's more than enough travel to keep it tuned up. It just means that when you put it in, you want to put it in quite tight anyway, which generally, like when you string it, you want to string it quite tight, which generally you want to do fairly tight on a headless guitar anyway, so that's not a big problem. But I like that they've come really well greased on the actual shaft, because the ABM ones never come greased, and they're always stiff as anything, and it took me a while to figure out that I need to grease them quite well. I don't know why, it just never occurred to me that I should just grease them myself. It's getting a bit drippy in here already, so hopefully that rain stops this afternoon like it's supposed to. But yeah, looking forward to using that. It won't be for a while yet. I need to I've got a few other commissions that I need to be getting on with before I make any more stock, I think, now that this is pretty much the end of the guitar show run for me for a bit. What's that? Bit of plastic. Good. Yeah, that's what's going on with me. With these videos, this is about as much format as you're going to get, I'm afraid. I did try over the past couple of weeks of recording videos and recording them at multiple different, what's the word I'm looking for, like multiple different shots, but with just how much I've got going on at the moment, getting into video editing as well, which I am getting into video editing for our narrowboat vlog that me and my wife do, but finding the time to also do that for SBC is a lot, and I'm not barely recording these and putting them out. I've recorded loads of stuff and not put it out. At least if it's just one clip, I can just go, right, snip the front and the back off of it and just post it, and it's a nice record for me, if nothing else. But anyway, to anyone that has sat through this 13 minutes of me rambling, thank you very much. I'm gonna probably try and do a second video this week, just back in the workshop, a little bit more detail orientated. But yeah, that's what's going on. Quite enjoying trying to find new processes. It's one of the things I've always enjoyed about guitar building as a thing anyway. And I'm going to stop there so this video doesn't go into 14 minutes long. Thanks for watching, and I will see you when I next post something.